Hello and welcome to Tamala and Taylor's Treat Talk Tuesday, where we talk about treats, business, and life. This week we have a stupendous guest. You know, we are here with Fran. She is known as the cookie cutter lady. No, she does cookie cutters. She does custom cookie cutters. She does beautiful cookie cutters of Black women. I have recently purchased some and used them, and they are excellent. So, we are going to talk about this today. Once again, I am Taylor with Sweet Spirit Treats, located here in Albion, Michigan, where we do custom treats for your special occasions. And we also have Tamala. We're going to let her introduce herself.
All right. Thank you, Taylor. Hello. Hi, friend. Welcome. I'm Tamala with Torlitas for that sweet and crunchy taste. Torlitas is a dessert company located right here in the state of Ohio, or maybe I should say the great state of Ohio. And I specialize I specialize in salty sweet treats. If you want to know more about me and my business, go to at Torlitas. That's T as in Tuesday. Orlitas.
Good job, good job. So now we are gonna get into some questions. First of all, how are you doing today, Francine?
I am doing really well. I want to thank you, ladies, for having me. I am so thrilled. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for chatting with us. We're gonna, like I said, go through a couple of questions. We want to first just start out with, how did you get started making cookie cutters?
Okay. Well, my sister, Darlene, who's the other half of our business, Fedraff Designs,
Mm-hmm.
she kind of approached me in 2021 because, everybody's been had a rough 2020.
Yeah.
And she was like, what kind of business can we, start? And I had already kind of been thinking along the same lines. And I'm actually a teacher. I'm a technology teacher. So I was
Mm-hmm.
doing a unit on 3D printing with my students. And I just
Mm-hmm.
became obsessed with 3D printing. I'm like, oh, wow, you can actually, build things and you can print out whatever you want. I mean, there are people who make houses that they actually live in that are 3D printed. So
Really?
I was like, what kind of business can I do with 3D printing? So I started
Mm-hmm.
scouring websites and I looked at Etsy and I'd see things like keychains, and then I'd see like pet bowls with the pet's name on it, and they were doing pretty well with those sales. And then I started seeing a lot of
Mm-hmm.
cookie cutters. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, wait a minute. Yeah, like people are actually like buying and selling cookie cutters like that. And I'd see people with like tens of thousands of sales. I saw somebody that had like 140,000 sales from cookie cutters. And I'm like, wait a
Wow.
minute, hold up. This
Right.
is so I'm like, yes, I can do that. And then, but the thing
Right.
that I did not see was a lot of representation. So there was not a
Right.
lot of Afrocentric cutters and cutters
Mm-hmm.
for people of color. So I said, you know what? There we go. That's what I need to bring to the table. So we have all types of cutters, but we're especially proud of our African American section because I really think that we shine there. And those are our by far our most popular cutters, and they're just so unique. And I get so excited when I print them. I'm like, oh, these are so beautiful.
Yes,
So
they
yeah, so
are.
that's how we got started.
That is so awesome. I love that you incorporate the representation into your business. I actually went to a store, a cake store supply store a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, "Oh, do you guys have anything, for Black History Month?" They're like, "No, child,
Oh
Not
no.
here.
we got nothing."
Oh
Yeah,
no.
they're like, we don't have anything for
Mm,
Black History Month. Now you can have all this Valentine's stuff you want, you can have all the
mm.
pink and all the sprinkles. And I'm like, man, we need to do better.
Right, absolutely.
So yes, I'm so grateful that you incorporate that into your business, because you're helping me incorporate it into my business. And yeah, once people saw like the Black girl cookie cutters with the hair and the poof, they were just like literally floored. So I just want to personally say thank you for doing that. Not only
Oh, my
for
pleasure.
yeah, for yourself, but for a lot of people that don't have representation, in this industry. Um, so are you an actual baker? Do you bake a lot?
I mean, I'm a mother.
Right.
My children are grown now, they're in their 20s, but I mean, when
Hmm.
they were younger, I used to bake, you'd have the bake sales at school and you'd have the birthday parties.
Right.
And actually prior to being a mom, though, I did bake cakes. I used to bake cakes a lot from scratch. I didn't sell them or anything. It was just a hobby, but I thought I was pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not like I'm just like amazed at what I'm seeing like with you and through online with Instagram and everything and people,
Thank
the
you.
creativity that's going on is just amazing to me. So I would say no, I'm not a baker.
That's good. Well, I like the fact that you bake homemade stuff even for your children. Like when I talk to people, they're like, "No, I don't bake. I don't bake. I don't bake," and I'm like, "Okay," like it's the plague or something. I'm like, it's not that bad, but
I mean,
yeah,
it's a process. It's like
yeah,
it takes a lot of love. You put in a lot of love into that process, and
mhm,
I mean, I enjoyed it, but sometimes you get distracted and other things are going on in life, and but
right.
I just feel like it takes time, or maybe it's just the way that I was doing it. It was time consuming. You guys can probably just whip it out like that, whip something out. But yeah.
Well, let me tell you, baking is time consuming, especially what I try to do when I'm baking is like I don't waste the time that the cake is in the oven or the cookies are in the oven. And I'm always trying to like get the next thing done. Because
Mm,
normally when you're baking stuff, especially if it's a cake, it's like lots of layers because you got to do the cake, the simple syrup, the frosting, the decorations. So
mm,
it's all about getting everything done for that final product.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
had mentioned Etsy. Do you like Etsy for shipping or platform?
Um, for shipping, I actually do now. I was a little confused by Etsy because I kept incurring a lot of fees. And
Mhm.
if you don't turn off Etsy marketing, they'll put ads out there like on Google and other
Oh,
sites.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you happen to get a sale, they'll take a chunk of your money. So I
Oh, I
turned
didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I turned that off. And I
Mhm.
think I'm doing much better with holding on to my money. But I
Right.
do I do like the shipping element because they will generate the shipping label for you and it's a discounted shipping rate. So I was running to the post office a lot and I was paying extra. So like I have a flat rate that I charge, for the cutters, we charge $3.50.
Right.
If you purchase $35 or more, then it's free shipping. But when I was going to the post office, I was paying like, 480 or $5. Like I was paying over the amount that I was charging customers. So I was coming out of my pocket for the shipping.
Hmm.
But once I set up the Etsy shipping and I have a label printer, then
Okay.
I was able to print the labels and save on the shipping. So that cost is comparable, is pretty much what I'm charging the customers. So I don't have to come out of my pocket now. So I do like that about the Etsy shipping. It's kind of fast and seamless, and then they'll send a notification because normally I would just go in and manually put in the tracking number and to let the customer know that the item was on its way. But with
Hmm.
the Etsy shipping label, they'll automatically generate an email to the customer. So I do appreciate that.
That's
Oh,
good.
okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
Taylor,
So,
can I jump in just for a second?
yeah.
Okay. Friend, I want to back up maybe a little bit, and I want you to tell the people who you are, where they can find you, what's the name of your business, and all that good stuff, where you're located, if you want to give that information out. I think that would
Sure.
be, something that I'm interested in. I'm sure other people would be too.
Okay, sure. So we are Fedraff Designs,
Can you spell
and
that?
Fedraff is sure. It's and I'm gonna tell you because it's an acronym for names in our family. So it's
Okay.
F as in Franklin, E as in Elaine, D as in Darlene, R as in Renee, A as in and, F as in France, and F as in Frank. So it's Fedraff Designs, Fedraff. And that was actually a name that my father had come up with probably back in the 80s. He was very tech savvy. I think he was ahead of his time. He was a tech teacher and also an assistant principal at my high school. And he had this vision for this Fedraff Enterprises for his family. So he came up with the acronym. So we carried it on now with Fedraff Designs. And so our website will take you directly to our Etsy shop. So it's www.fedraffdesigns.com. And we're also on Instagram daily at Fedraff Designs. That's pretty much where we live. We do have a Facebook page, so it's just facebook.com/Fedraff Designs. But again, we don't really do a lot on Facebook. We just tell people on Facebook to come on over to Instagram because that's where we live. That's where it's happening for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
and I'm sorry, just to say, we are located in Maryland. So we are in Bowie, Maryland, which is midway between DC and Annapolis, or DC and Baltimore, also known as the DMV area.
DMV,
so DC, Maryland, Virginia. So yeah, that's where we are.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
So you said that your father was also a principal at your school?
He was an assistant principal at my high school. I went to high school in New York. We grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I went to a high school in Manhattan called Stuyvesant High School. It was a science and tech high school that you had to test into. And so I went to that high school, and I had no special favors because my father was in fact, it was quite the opposite. Because my father was assistant principal, I could get away with nothing. But he was doing things with robotics back in the day, like back in like the 80s, probably earlier than that. He was doing, ironically, a lot of work with plastics, and he would make like different plaques, either with plastic or glass. And so ironically, we're kind of doing the same thing with the cookie cutters made from the plastic. But he was back then one of the few Black administrators, and especially to be an administrator at a high school of that caliber, because that high school was recognized, and still is today, as the #1 public high school in New York City. So he definitely held like a pretty, prestigious position there. But so yeah, so that was I was the only one. There's 4 siblings. I was the only one who actually went to the same school as our father. So yeah, I had to endure that.
Yeah.
I mean, my father was well loved. The kids, everybody loved him, but it was just a thing where I was just trying to kind of find my own way,
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, okay, I can't get away with much here because everybody's watching me. They all know, that's Mr. Wright's daughter, so.
Yeah. I was definitely gonna ask you that. I was gonna ask you what was it like, having your father as an assistant principal, and ask you, were you able to get away with stuff,
Yeah, not at all.
It's very beautiful that you're a technology teacher, that like your dad, set a path for you.
Yeah.
I think that's really awesome.
Thank you.
So I think
You're welcome.
it's awesome. Also, I just got excited. And you said your dad was, back in the day, he was a teacher and he loved technology. I love technology as well. So how did his influence, I'm sure by watching him, help you and your family to be like, okay, let's create a cookie cutter? And what does that look like? And who came up with the designs even for the cookie cutters?
Okay, well, both my parents have passed. They passed. It's been a while since they passed. They actually passed in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of is a delay on their on his vision because it wasn't something where when he was around and we were thinking, okay, yeah, let's do these cookie cutters. This is just, this is just something that recently came to be. I
Right.
feel like it was like destiny though. It's just kind of amazing to me, like how we're doing something that I could see him getting into or giving advice on. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it was just seeing, like I was saying before, when I looked on Etsy and I was seeing how many people were doing this, and I said to myself, well, this sounds like a perfect blend of creativity, along with technology. So I'm a tech geek, but I also like to be creative. And I've also, I've had different jobs prior to being a teacher where I've done things like graphic arts or desktop publishing, and things where I was able to be creative or manipulate graphics. And I even do that with some of the courses that I've taught. So I figured this would, be a perfect blend of that. And I felt like I would never get bored because there's always like a new cutter to make, So I was like, okay, yeah, this will work. So some of the art that we get is just public domain. So really anybody could use it, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to know how to make it work, to make it into a cutter that's going to be functional, because some graphics will give you like certain gaps or certain spaces where food could get trapped, and you just have to be careful about stuff like that. um,
Oh,
some of the art I will create myself, and then other art, we have artists. I did feature one artist. She's actually my niece, Monica from In Digital Color. She was absolutely amazing. She made the low Afro puffs cutter that we did.
okay.
So yeah, and she actually just made another cutter that I can't really talk about yet because I'm hoping to. I'm doing a collaboration with another cookier, and I'm hoping to bring that cutter to like the forefront. I'm really trying to get like a celebrity's attention with that cutter.
Mm-hmm.
so so I'll talk about that maybe more later. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's just a combination of, just taking either art that I have made myself, art that artists have made, or
Mhm.
public domain art, and then just modifying it um, so that it can be made into a cutter.
Sweet. I
Excellent.
love that
Good
you
job.
include your whole family in your business. A lot of people see things and they're like, "Well, I can do this myself." A lot of people, it takes time for them to realize that they actually need help in business, and it's a beautiful thing that you have your family there to help you. Even the whole structure with the name and carrying on the legacy of technology, and with your father, that's very beautiful.
Thank you so much. And my
You're
sister
welcome.
Darlene, who's the other half, Darlene, she's a legal expert, and she's run other businesses as well. So she's definitely like the brains, or the legalese, legal, no, not legally, well, legal
Yeah.
expertise
Yeah, yeah.
to the business. So yeah. So we have a lot of talent in our family.
I can
Right.
tell. Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds like it.
That's
Uh,
awesome. So
I
how do you actually make the cookie cutters?
Okay, so the making of it is it's a three-step. If I could break it down into three phases. So basically you have your image file. So that's your
Hmm.
JPEG or your PNG file. And from
Right.
that, you're going to convert it into a digital prototype. So that digital
Hmm.
prototype is going to make it look like a cutter, like it's going to give that outline to the image. So it's going to take away that image and just leave an outline. Okay. And so
Hmm.
that's called an STL file. And there are software programs that you can use to make that. Like you can use Tinkercad or Autodesk Fusion, but I use a software that is specifically designed to take your image and make it into that digital prototype. So once I put the image in, it automatically creates that outline for me, and I really don't have to do anything other than tell it, how long I want the cutter to be. So if I want a 4-inch cutter, 3.5
Okay.
inch or whatever, and it'll format it for me. Um, I would say probably 85% of the time it looks perfect and I'm good. But sometimes I do have to clean it up a little bit. Like I was saying before, if there's like a little piece hanging or like a little crevice or something, that then I might have to like modify the image so that I can get a clean area, so that it's, you know, it's no like little pieces hanging. So it sometimes it does take some tweaking, but yeah, most of the time it's good to go. And then from that stage, so once you have that STL file, that outline, you need to go into the printer's slicing software.
That, but I was just telling Fran that I'm just so geeked and excited because I'm learning something new. And I've always, you know, heard about 3D printing and seen on TV and stuff, but never met anybody that actually uses the programs. And, you know, right. She's talking about different STL. I'm like, ooh, what's that? Ooh, I gotta know, you know, I gotta look that up and Google that. So I'm just really geeked and excited. You know, this is my playground. So I am excited, but I don't
want to get too technical. Oh, okay. I said I don't want to get too technical, but at the, you know, I wanted to explain the process. So I hope I'm not getting too technical when I get into it. But
you never can be too technical for me. But we're good.
Technical. I was actually thinking about I thought the process was like when you do like a Cricut or a Silhouette and you do like the SVG files. Like that's what I thought that 3D printing was like, but you're like explaining a completely different world to me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, sure. So yeah, from the STL file or the digital prototype, you then want to go ahead and take that STL file and put it into your printer's software, with what we call slicing software. Okay. So in that software, you would actually set your parameters for printing. So you would tell it how thick you want your layers to print. You want to tell it the speed of your printing. Like you could print 40 millimeters per second, you could print 100 millimeters per second. And just going back to the thickness, you could have it, you know, very fine. You could have each layer be 0.1 millimeter, or you could have it be 0.2 millimeters. There's something called infill, which determines how heavy it is. So you could set the percentage of the infill. We generally do 65%. Some people don't feel like infill makes a difference on small items, but I just like to have that kind of extra assurance. So we usually do 65% infill. But it's a process though, tweaking it and trying to play around with different numbers. But I mean, a small cutter could take 20 minutes to print, or it could take an hour and a half to print. It just depends on the settings that you use. But once you're in that slicing software, after you slice it, it'll give you an estimate of how long it's going to take to print and how much filament you're going to be using. And I'll talk about that in a minute, but the filament is the plastic that you're using to make your cutter. And then it creates a file called a G code. And so that G code file is the file that you send to your printer. Some printers, you can send it over Wi-Fi. Other printers, you use like a little SD card that you put in a USB drive and you just stick it in your printer. Well, some printers, you actually stick the whole USB, or some printers, you just take the SD card and stick it in. But either way, it's a G code file that is being sent to the printer. And once that's done, it just prints off your file for you. And the slicing software is good because you see the preview of the cutters. So you'll see you can print one cutter or you can print multiple cutters, and it'll show you, you know, it'll give you an image of your print bed. And so you'll see how the cutters are laying next to each other. And so you can try to fit as many as you can on one job, or, you know, however you want to do it. But it's just nice because it gives you that visual before you actually start printing. And then once you're printing, you're like I was saying, filament is the plastic. So it's on a roll. It's just like a thin plastic. Just think of a thin rope, but it's on a roll and it goes through a little tube, an extruder. So it heats up, and this plastic heats up to like 100. It can be anywhere between 190 to like 230, 235 degrees Celsius. And once it comes out that tube, it just lays your layers it lays the layers on the print bed one after the other, just forms your shape. So you'll see it comes out this little nozzle, this little thin piece of plastic comes out the nozzle, and it just lays it layer upon layer upon layer, and you'll just see it build like that. So it's not something, once you send it to the printer, you don't really have to do anything. Like, I mean, I wouldn't leave, the printer running by itself, but it's not like you can't do other things. So you can, like how you were saying, when you have, items in the oven and you're going and you're doing other things, like once it's
Yeah.
printing, I can do other things. I can focus on, marketing or, responding to inquiries or whatever, because it goes by itself. So it sounds kind of tedious, and it can be at times, but once you get into a rhythm, it's really not
Yeah.
bad. It just kind of flows, you know.
You
Um,
do one at a time, or can you do multiples, or how many have you done, at one time?
yeah, you can do multiples, but it just depends on the size of your printer, and because different printers have different size print beds, and it also depends on the size of the cutter. So like I
Um,
could do like, maybe 7 or 8 small cutters at one time. Whereas if it's like, so maybe like the 2.5 inch cutters, maybe I could do like 7 or 8 of them. But if I did like a 6 inch cutter, I might only be able to do like one at a time, or maybe two, depending on the actual shape or how wide it is. So it just depends. Yeah, it just depends on that factor. But once you put it in the slicing software, it lets you know if it's not going to fit on that print bed, it'll actually place it. It'll actually show you, and it'll put it outside of the bed. So before you even start printing, it'll show you that there's no room for it. So it's just really helpful in that process.
How long does it take to make one from start to finish?
Um, just the printing part, like I was saying, could take 20 minutes to an hour and a half. It just depends on your settings. Um, so I guess that's really the time, to convert it from the picture and put it into the slicing software. It doesn't take long at all. That's maybe like 5 minutes. So the longest part of the process is just coming up with the design, um, getting that design onto the Etsy site in a format that's viewable for the customer. But from the actual, I guess, printing process, yeah, I would say maybe if we had to, from start to finish, I would say maybe an hour and a half max.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but if I get into a rhythm, like I said, it could be a lot shorter than that. It just depends. Like some printers, I mean, some cutters, like you have a profile for your printer, so some of your cutters you can actually save. So if it's something that I've printed a lot and it's saved, then I don't have to go through that whole process of the slicing. Like I can just pull up that file real quickly and then send it to the printer like right away. So it just varies. But that's something I definitely want to kind of work on, is just figuring out the best settings to get it more efficiently printed, but with the same quality. Because I've tried like faster speeds or draft settings, and I'm not pleased with the quality of that. So I'd rather it take a longer time, but look, good.
Mhm.
So
I love how light your cookie cutters are. They are they are really really light. And it's so
thank you.
amazing that they have, like, now that I know like the process that it just does like each layer, because it's like they're pretty thick for like cookie cutters, because I do like a 3/4 inch cookie, and I really don't like when like I push the cookie cutter into the dough and then like my finger slips in it because it's like right next to it. But yours
Uh,
have, yeah, yours have like the lip around it, so it's easy to grip the cookie cutters and put them in the dough. So I really like them.
Thank you. Yeah, we had that extra handle. I call it the handle or the grip. Yeah, to make it easier for you. So thank you. I appreciate that feedback.
I just
Yeah,
purchased some metal cookie cutters for a project that I'm doing. And let me
yeah,
tell you, I wish I would have known about your cookie cutters before I did that, because I noticed that, when I pressed down on them, I mean, I started hurting my fingertips. It's like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to use? to press
Uh,
down on these, items or these cookie cutters for this project because I'm going to make, be making multiple ones. But
right.
definitely, I'm excited to put my order in for more cookie cutters from your company. So I'm excited about that. Do you have like a set or a set of different varieties that you sell just like in a package or something, or is it all individual?
It's all individual at this time. I have to consider doing sets. Um, Sometimes I look at the ordering process for sets. Like I just looked at other people just to see how they were doing that. And
Mhm.
sometimes I just find it maybe kind of confusing because you're when they when they offer the sets, they may have multiple sizes that you can choose from, but then they have multiple items and it's just all together in one listing. And maybe there's other ways that people do it, but just the ones that I saw, I kind of felt like this was kind of tedious. Like the process was just not like flowing really well. So I said, well, I have similar themed items. We have the categories that we have in Etsy. And
Mhm.
so I just put those items in the same category at this point in time. But I definitely am considering that. The other thing I'm considering is, like when you have a cutter, like you might have seen like with the Easter Bunny, you'll have the different cutters that you put together to make the one item. So like it's an Easter Bunny, but it's
Oh
like a
yeah,
cutter
I
of the
see
ear
that.
and another cutter of the ear, you
Yeah.
know. So I definitely want to do that in the future, for sure. But yeah, the themes, I don't know, maybe you guys can give me some insight on that because like I said, that's just what I encountered when I was trying to figure out like pricing and sizing for the sets. I would find sets where you could choose, multiple sizes within the set. So you could have like a 3 inch in the set, but then you could have a 4 inch or something else and a 2 inch. So I don't know. I just felt like that was a bit much, but maybe that works for you. I don't know. So you guys tell me.
I think like when I think of treat boxes, it's good to have multiple sizes because when you're making like the actual, like when I did one recently and it had like cupcakes, cookies, and just having the different variety of sizes makes the box look fuller. So that
Mhm.
might be what the person was going for when they were selling multiple sizes
Okay.
of cookie cutters. Um, I know I saw a lady do one when she did cookies and it was like a 3 inch cookie and it said like mom on it for Mother's Day. And then
Hmm.
she had like some little smaller ones and they were like basically like filler cookies. Um, so that was pretty cool. That and I just figured I didn't figure she bought it that way. I figured she just had multiple sizes and she just used it, to
Hmm.
work it out that way. But I think it'll be a good idea to actually have them in multiple sizes for one thing.
Hmm.
It
I
sounds
mean,
like
yeah,
a
because
plan.
right now we do the multiple sizes for, we just do them individually. So like
Right.
most of the cutters will have 2.5 inch up to 6 inches. And some cutters we have up to 8 inches.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how your website is designed too, how you do have the different categories because it makes it easier to actually find out what you want. You can go right to it. So I like
Mhm.
And another thing that I think might be beneficial to see what your audience wants. Kind of poll the audience. What would your audience like to see? What sizes did you want? Do you want different sizes? How many?
that.
2, 4, or 3, 4, whatever the inches are, and maybe just have like 5 of them. In a grouping. It's just for someone that maybe want to try out your product. So that's just my coming from the outside, looking from the outside in.
Right.
It's like a little grab bag of different themed items might be
Hmm.
nice. You know,
Okay.
my two
Thank you.
cents.
Yeah. No, I
Nothing
like that.
nothing an Instagram poll post won't fix.
Right.
Yeah. So what are three things that people don't know about you?
um, well, I mentioned that we were from New York, so I guess y'all know that now. We're originally from Brooklyn, New York, born and raised. Sometimes you won't know it from talking to me, but it definitely comes out with certain words like draw or water.
Okay, yeah, I hear it.
I can't say those words any other way.
Right.
um, I was kind of reflecting back on something that I had done a while back. Another thing people might not know is that I participated in a half marathon.
Okay.
This
Oh,
is
nice.
I mostly walked it. I did run it. I ran across the finish line.
You
Hey,
finished
you
though.
made it to the finish line, so that's good.
Yeah, I did finish that, and that was actually a while. That was close to 10 years now, but I was kind of
Yeah.
reflecting on that because I've been starting to get back into exercising. And I just said, oh yeah, I remember when I did that marathon and half marathon, and it was really fun because I also did some fundraisers. So it was for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and I did some speed dating fundraisers. In DC. Yeah, so
You
in DC I
tell.
had these, yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I
Right.
hosted, and I kind of partnered with this bistro in DC, and
Mhm.
we had like speed dating, and I had like questions for the people to ask each other, and they would rotate after a certain amount of minutes and stuff like that. So it was just a lot of fun. Um, and then another thing people might not know is that I actually have 2 degrees.
Oh, nice.
So I have a bachelor's degree in journalism from the University of Maryland, and
Mhm.
I focused on the advertising sequence, which comes in handy with this business because of the marketing and that we're doing, especially with Instagram.
Mhm.
Um, and I've worked, like I was saying before, I've worked in other jobs prior to teaching, so I have some experience with that with advertising. And then my other degree is teaching, a master's in teaching. And initially, when I started teaching, I was teaching ESOL. So I was teaching English for speakers of other languages.
Mhm.
And this always was fascinated with different cultures, especially growing up in New York and you were around so many people of different
Yeah.
cultures. On our one block, we had us, and then we had Jamaicans and Creole, and we had Chinese, Italian, anything you could think of, we had on our block. you know. So I was definitely fascinated with that. And then from teaching ESOL, I just started transitioning into business and technology just based on work experience and things that I knew how to do and trainings that I had gone to. And so I transitioned and I tested I took a test to become certified in those areas. So I started teaching like business and technology from there.
Are you,
So yeah.
are you saying from teaching Esau? Is that what you're saying?
Say that again.
Did you say from teaching Esau?
Right. Initially, I used to teach in ESOL. That was my first discipline. And then from there, I transitioned and started teaching technology and business classes. And that was based on like my work experience that I had done prior to teaching. So yeah, but I started out teaching ESOL, yes.
So that is that English? Sorry.
Right. So some parts of the country call it ESL,
Oh, okay.
English
Yeah.
as a second language. Yeah,
Oh,
but for us, we call it English for speakers of other languages.
oh,
All right. I
okay.
was so confused. I was like, what?
I just thought it was a new program. I was like, okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Our state, there are so many acronyms in education. It's just a
Right.
lot.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I homeschool my children like before the pandemic, and
Oh.
one thing I was like, English is not for me, guys. We're gonna use all of the books, all of
Yeah.
it's not my strongest suit. I use it when I need it. However, it is not my favorite.
Yeah. It's a lot involved. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah, we're
friend,
learning.
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no,
Um,
no, you can.
Friend with red, no, Fedraff Designs.
Mhm.
.com or the Etsy site. You can go to her Etsy site at Fedraff Designs, and she has everything from a cheese wedge to flowers to the continent of Africa, sewing machine. I mean, the list goes on. Baby items, horses, animals, numbers. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I want our viewers and listeners to make sure they go to your site and purchase items from you. I think that's important to support because it's Women's History Month for sure, and also that you are a lovely person and with wonderful products. So I definitely want people to support you. But I just wanted to make that shameless plug for you,
Thank
just in
you.
case you
Yes.
weren't going to do that. But I'm looking right now on the Etsy site, and you have over 218 cookie cutters that people can choose from. And they're in categories of African American, baby, animals, home, STEM or STEAM. Is that with your education part or?
Yes. Science, technology. Yes. Engineering and math. Yes.
Oh, cool. And this is like a rocket, an alien, and look like an
Mm.
astronaut. So, the list goes on, and I would hope that people would go and take a look at, what all you have to offer. And the price point is reasonable. I would think they were more, but the price point is very reasonable. And why couldn't you, pick up 5 or 6 of them at a time? Um,
Thank you.
yeah, so
And we do custom orders as well. I will say we do custom orders. There is a custom order button on our site, or you can just DM us on Instagram. So some of the items that you see on there actually started out as custom orders, like the cereal bowl and the
That was
chick.
cute.
Yeah. And that the Easter chick is really popular, and that kind of started out as a custom order. Actually, it started out, the Easter chick head started out as a custom order, and then I added the full body Easter chick. So that one is pretty popular.
oh
But
yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
that's cool. And also,
What
as bridal is in here, St. Patrick's Day, Mother's Day is coming up, graduations are coming up, Father's Day. I clicked on the link in your bio on your Instagram page. So I'm just going to see if I can put that up there. It's probably not showing up. It's not showing up. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
showing up. This is the
so,
Instagram
yeah.
page, and maybe we can put a picture of that in the in the video at some point.
And if you check out the highlights button on Instagram, you can see customer testimonials. You can see our products being unboxed and being used by cookiers and bakers. So yeah.
Oh,
Right. So
yeah.
what would you say is your most sold cookie cutter?
Hands down, it's the Africa continent one. Yeah, I'm proud to say that one is definitely, and I printed that. I think I've printed that in every size that we offer. I just did a 6-inch one, and then I just did a 2.5-inch one. So yeah. So
I'm pushing for the big box stores. I want it mass produced. I'm putting it out there. It's going
yes.
to happen. I'm hopefully, I just see, this section is, your business and your back in the story, how it became. I just see it. I see it. I have goosebumps.
Yes, I'm claiming it. Yes.
I want to see it. Yes, absolutely. Okay. All right.
So just this last question, what do you imagine for the future of your business?
Definitely wanted to add to our catalog. So like Tamala said, we have over 200 cutters, and just trying to add more and more every day. Trying to anticipate trends. One thing I did not realize going into this business is how trendy it is. So in other words, like, and maybe it's the feed that I'm getting through Instagram, but it's like I'll see something and then I'll see somebody else doing it in a maybe slightly different way, but I see a lot of repetition that I guess I didn't really anticipate. So if I start seeing something that's trending on Instagram, then I'll make a cutter for it. So
Art.
so like for like example, I actually had somebody, this was also a custom order for the honey pot, but I just yesterday added another honey pot. But when I got that request for the honey pot, I started seeing a lot of bees and honeys and all that. So I said, wait a minute. So I made a honeycomb cutter. I made a bee cutter. I just did the whole theme. And then I started getting orders from that. So it's just like, I just anticipate like adding to the catalog, staying on top of, you know, the themes or the trends. Hopefully also creating my own trends, because I'm thinking, okay, some of these cookies are looking the same. So are they all purchasing from the same, you know, company? Are they getting their cutters from the same company, right? So I'm like, okay, so we need to be the ones setting that trend. So when I see that repetition now, I want to see our cutters, you know, being reproduced by people, you know. Um, and then the other thing I had kind of hinted at earlier was this collaboration that I'm doing. It's going to be a cutter that's going to be added to the African American section. And
Nice.
hopefully I will be getting the attention, hopefully, of this celebrity. So that's my goal, like getting, you know, either working with influencers or getting certain celebrity attention, um,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, so that they can promote. So this celebrity is actually just recently got into baking. So I'm thinking that this cutter will work
Oh, okay.
for her. So yeah, so that's something I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited about, just kind of reaching out and trying to get, you know, get it seen by her, and also just reaching out to different influencers and different people like yourself who are really super talented, and that, you know, we can do collaborations, and you know, just sky's the limit, really.
Right.
So
Definitely is. That is awesome. You know, if you don't have goals, then you won't have anything, you know, to keep pressing towards. So it's good that you have a goal, you have a plan, you know, for your business and where you want things to go. And that's really how it starts. You know, having those goals and having things that you want to do. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
right,
Awesome.
and definitely like the big box stores,
Mm-hmm.
right, Tamala? Big box
Big
stores.
box stores, boutique, bakery, boutiques,
Right.
and think of off that doesn't fit into the baking area, like boutiques that have like clothes, eclectic clothes. Think about the people who are bakers and have a bakery that might want to have a basket of your cookie cutters there for sale. You can sell it to them for wholesale prices, or whatever way you want to work that out. I just
Right.
have I have so many ideas for you that I don't want to. I can be like blah, but definitely this is your and your family's things, and I pray that God will give you the direction that you desire. So I'll say that.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. 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 So that is. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, this is great. I mean, I'm just glad that you all were able to have me. I just, again, I'm so appreciative. This is a labor of love. This really is. I really am excited about what I'm doing. And I even put a post on my personal Facebook, because I said, even though I love teaching my kids, I feel really alive with this business. And I'm like, I'm really excited about it. And it's just like something I could see myself doing. Like when I retire from teaching, I could definitely see myself immersing myself in this, full time. I already feel like I'm doing it full time because I don't really sleep much now because I'm just doing this all the time.
Right.
But I definitely, I'm passionate about this business, and just excited. And I appreciate any feedback people have, try out our cutters. And again, if you have something that you want, we can make it happen. So yeah, just very excited about what's to come.
Have
And
you
they
ever
are
thought
great
about?
cookie cutter. Great cookie cutters.
And I'll have to say something else. Have you ever thought about teaching people how to create 3D printing items?
You know what? That is a good question. I had not thought of that. One thing I thought of was actually selling, because some people sell the STL files so that other people
Oh,
can print. And
yeah.
that's something I was thinking about expanding at one point. But then I was kind of like, well, I like our designs and I kind of want to hold on to them ourselves. So I don't know. But the teaching part, yeah, I actually, the teacher in me never thought about that. But yeah, that would actually that would be great. Yeah, that's something that could be done. We could even do that even with the pandemic and all. We could still even do that via Zoom or remotely.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Me and Tech know about how that can go, how that can actually work. We're learning about that very thing. So I'm
Yeah,
excited
thank you.
for you, and I'm glad that you took the time out of your schedule to meet with us and to share with us. And I'm just looking forward to the next time that we speak, and what new things and who that celebrity client is that you got your items, the attention of. Specific to them, and I just think that higher heights. I just think higher heights. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. You all are
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this has been our latest episode of Treat Talk Tuesday. We can be heard on Anchor.fm, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Anywhere that you can listen to your podcast, we will be there. All right. We also have a YouTube channel where we do our demos from this we do our demos that we share. They will be on Tamala and Taylor's Treat Talk Tuesday YouTube page. And check us out on Instagram. We'll definitely be putting up posts and have the links to Fedraff Designs, who we very much appreciate for having us, having her on our podcast. And so that is it, guys. Have a blessed week.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah,
Thank
bye-bye.
you.